Hey, welcome to my space. I am here with my third child, Ash, and we're going to have a conversation today about body work because Ash has decided to do body work too, and I'm thrilled about that. So, we're going to try this out, see how it goes, have a conversation about what body work means to us and why we choose to do it, and what we've learned about bodies and about being able to hold space for the other in a way that is necessary to create safety when we're working with someone's body. So, Ash, well, I'll say first, I've been doing body work for almost 10 years. I started out doing my first craniosacral training with Upledger almost 10 years ago, and then jumped right into massage therapy training to get a hands-on license. And I didn't love massage therapy until I decided to also get training at Esalen Institute for their Esalen massage. And that's when I really fell in love with actually working massage with the body. So I was certified with them for their 200-hour certification. I'm certified in craniosacral therapy, and Ash is just now doing a certification, their first certification. So give me a little bit of information about watching me becoming a massage therapist and then why you decided to do that.
Well, I was 9. It was around the so you had been just living off dad for the time, like my whole life. And then when you guys split up, you needed to find something to do. So my experience was you kind of just scrambling to scrambling to make something work, I guess. So I remember you would just just watching you self promote initially and thinking like, what is mom doing? Like, what is this? Because I just never even seen you like work like that. Um, but you had always, we were just talking about how you had always like rubbed our feet and just worked very physically with us through massage. And so that
As
was
kids,
as
when you were
kids.
little.
Yeah. That was kind of always in my consciousness, I suppose. Um, and then it was really like as you started to learn, it would obviously come out in conversation, and it was like it was this really almost uncomfortable process of like learning about the body in a way, and we can get more into this, but like it was a process of like shifting from a lot of shame around the body
Yeah.
earlier in our life because of, I guess, we were there was a very Christian idea of not of trying to ignore it, I guess.
And even it being evil on some level, like
Hmm.
in our Christianity, we were we were really taught that the lusts of the flesh were evil. And so we were trying to disconnect or ascend or ignore,
Hmm.
and everything within the body felt shameful. And that was really communicated to me as a kid. And then I communicated that, or we communicated that as parents to you guys as well.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like that the the shame of the material, and then for to transition from a structured house with shame around the body to now there's only one parent in the house, and they're telling me about this like body positivity, this
Mhm.
bodily pride. It was like a really uncomfortable shift for me
Yeah.
of like, you've been telling me this whole time that that or not even maybe overtly telling, but just that feeling of like this is not something to think about even.
Hmm.
This is something
Hmm.
to try and push away to the side
Yeah.
into like this is everything I'm doing, you know?
Hmm.
So I guess yeah, that was kind of my experience watching you, and it was just kind of slowly getting used to it
Hmm.
and then building my own relationship with my own body, and now that I'm in massage school, it's understanding the other and the other's body more.
Hmm.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I remember when I was first learning about it and working with bodies, and when you explain to somebody that you are a massage therapist or a body worker, the response of so many people is instant. um how would you describe that?
It's like you're putting it's like you're even if you're not talking about them, it's
Hmm.
as if you are putting a spotlight on their body and like
Hmm.
bringing an awareness to their body. And most people try not to do that
Hmm.
on purpose, I think, or at least subconsciously.
Yeah.
So it's like a tensing and like a
Yeah.
fear
Yeah.
of like, whoa, we're not supposed to acknowledge this part, the fact that I'm a physical body right now.
Yeah.
We're supposed to operate in the realm of the mind and like communicate as
Yeah.
if we are
Yeah. And as soon
dissociated.
as we bring in the conversation of body, it's uncomfortable, and we can feel that as we mention that in conversation. The other piece that is thrown in there always is like usually a joke around being a masseuse or a sex worker or that kind of information too. So it's always sprinkled with these background ideas of, oh, what do you really do? Or a joke around it to like take the awareness off of their uncomfortableness with the body. Um, yeah, that's definitely, that was a hard piece for me. And so I very infrequently explain to anyone that I do massage because I just hate meeting that piece in conversation. So,
Yeah, it's there are there are some points like I mean, with body workers, it's so much easier to have these conversations
mhm,
because they're just it's become normal. It's normal.
yeah.
And like that's what you're working on. But it's shocking how little we socially acknowledge ourselves.
Hmm.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah. I remember some of the first weeks of my massage training being really challenged to, um, as we were working on each other in class, it brought up a lot of insecurity. It brought up a lot of my own issues to work with in terms of why I ignored my body, and then working with the other and holding space for the other while they were also feeling through some of that awkwardness of getting used to being okay with being in someone else's space like that intimately. Um, anything you want to say to your process on that, or questions for me around that?
Um, it was I also had to I feel like anyone in that context is gonna have to is breaking down walls
Hmm.
and learning to be with themselves better.
Hmm.
And my process at least has been very focused on like what boundaries am I gonna put up?
Hmm.
Like ha needing to have like going into spaces, especially because um you should not get certified at Sierra Massage School. It's a bad school. Um and they don't respect body. And um
I'm going to put this light on while you're talking.
so to go into a space that many people in that class do respect body, but some people don't. And because of that, I'm kind of forced to you're forced to go in and know what your own boundaries are.
Hmm.
You have to go in and be confident in what you're gonna put up,
Yeah,
because other people aren't gonna do it for you.
right.
And yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been a process, but I feel more confident in myself and how I move through the world now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah, I also don't recommend getting trained there, but it is the cheapest, fastest way to do it in the valley. Um, so, um, yeah, one of the what were some of the reasons that led you into choosing this option as your next step after high school?
Well, your main the main thing you would push me towards was just like finding a trade
Hmm.
to get certified in, especially because I'm not going to college right now, and just finding a niche that you can make money in.
Hmm.
Um, and massage felt good because I had seen you do it.
Hmm.
And so I kind of have a very real, like it feels very real,
Hmm.
the process of building a business or building that up. It was just kind of the one thing that I've seen you or seen anyone do so intimately, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but the other thing is just like I just wanted to be more physically aware, I guess.
Hmm.
But honestly, that wasn't the main motivating factor. The main motivating factor was I got to do something.
Yes, yes, you do. Um, One of the things that I was super excited about for you is that I had seen you in your friend groups and even in our house, you're really, really good at holding people in their process without interrupting their process or rescuing them from their process. And I know that's been a journey for you in learning how to do that. And um, makes me feel emotional because I'm just so proud of how much work you've done around being able to be in your own processes really well and trusting process, and then being able to hold a really secure, safe space for others in their process. So that made me know you were capable of doing this well. And it made me really excited for what you might be able to use this in the future. But is there anything you want to say towards that?
Yeah, I think with that or with the journey for me has been like when someone is in the process of specifically something difficult in their
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
and they're venting it or they're talking about it to you. My instinct when I was younger was always to save.
Hmm.
Like they need to be saved, they're asking to be saved,
Hmm.
which makes sense from a missionary family. um
Yeah.
uh but what I was realizing was like in these relationships with people that I was constantly trying to save, it wasn't like it was helping them. It was just giving them a space to try and divvy out their hurt or
Hmm.
whatever it is onto someone else.
Hmm.
And it creates this like intensely empathetic space that I think in some contexts is I don't think it's wrong or bad, but if you're trying to be therapeutic and like if you're trying to hold space that is going to actually help someone
Hmm.
forward,
Hmm.
you can't you cannot be in their mental state, especially when it's something hard they're working through.
Hmm.
You can't be pulled down because by the end of an hour session or whatever, you're just going to feel terrible.
Hmm.
And you're not going to be able to provide support because you're in the same boat they're in now, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Not actually,
Yeah.
but like emotionally.
Yeah.
So the word that like kept coming up for me was apathy.
Mm.
And it's such a like like terrible word, but it's not, or it has so many associations,
Mhm.
but it's not like I don't care.
Mhm.
It's more of like I'm emotionally holding myself in like I'm okay. I'm I'm not going to be with you in it. I'm just
Mhm.
going to be here for you to process your own thing and like and you don't I don't need to make you feel good.
Mhm.
I need to let you express the things that are hard for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the concept of being with someone
Mhm.
rather than being in it. And that was actually really hard for me to learn. Uh, like I was in ministry for about 20 years before I started body work, and in those 20 years I had two crash and burns because I didn't know that concept until I had my second breakdown, and I was overgiving constantly. I was too involved in everybody's stuff. I didn't know how to hold my center while I was holding space for the other to be in their process. And yeah, it's a really important piece. It's an important piece in the work that I do now in terms of holding center awareness, holding safe space for the other, and being able to reflect or and allow them to be in whatever emotion they're having, whatever sensation they're in, whatever process they're in without joining it.
Mhm. Especially now that it's becoming for me or just in general when it becomes more professional.
Mhm.
You can't go to work and then like feel everything every client is feeling and then come home and just be like, "Oh,"
Mhm.
you're just gonna feel awful. And it's just gonna be like, okay, where do I work this through? And if that's your philosophy, you're gonna go to your therapist and you're gonna expect them to feel everything you're feeling. And it's like, that's not productive. It's
No,
not.
no.
Like you just need to be a solid foundation for someone to feel something through.
So in body work, while someone's on the table, I'm thinking, because I do a lot of dialoguing with my clients. I don't do just massage or just craniosacral therapy. Um, but as somebody who's like having an hour session and it's all massage and you're holding space for somebody to be in their process. Let's say somebody, we talk about this a lot actually. Somebody comes in and says, I want deep tissue, and they're really tense. Their body's really tense.
Mhm.
Um, what's that like for you? And holding space for their tension in their body and what you're noticing or being with in their process.
Um, Deep tissue is interesting to me because I respect it. But when somebody comes in and they're asking you for deep tissue, they're not usually asking for proper deep tissue massage.
Mhm.
They're they want what I've found so far is that if somebody has really tight shoulders, for example, they're gonna say just like deeper, deeper pressure as hard as you can, pretty much. I just need to be good by the end of the hour, you know? Like I just need to be able to get in my car and have my muscles relaxed. But when you go to their shoulders and you're massaging their shoulders and like they're asking you to push deeper and you do, their muscles aren't relaxing. They are tensing more because their body isn't safe. It hasn't like had this time to relax. The physical muscles haven't. And so you're actually making it a lot worse
Mhm.
because you're just putting more and more attention on them. But But if people thought of massage as a process and
Yes.
as even if so you do lighter work, but
Mhm.
even if I was trying to do deep work and trying to work out and stretch muscles and such, I would start very light because you need to bring awareness to the fact that you need to let the muscle be aware that something is happening to it. And then you need to feel where it's willing to give and where it's not. And that's where you need to work. And so it's this slow, like breathing into it thing instead of just like, okay, let's just like strip this muscle out until it's good, until it's relaxed. It's just not going to work.
Mhm.
So Yeah.
Yeah, so I love this topic because one of the things we've talked about is that after 10 years of working with bodies, and I come with a very specific, I'm not an athletic massage person. I'm not a very I'm massaging and working with bodies for the entirety of body, mind, spirit processing. And I work with a lot of trauma people who have been through a lot of trauma. And so the point of my work is to create safety so the body is willing to actually relax on its own. And as Ash was saying, the more you push into the body, the more it will fight back. And so many of the clients that I've worked with at the beginning, before I really understood this, it that they also would come in and say, I just want deep pressure. I want, oh, I can't really feel what you're doing. And I got to the point where I was asking, well, do you think that you could relax that muscle? Instead of making me push harder, could you breathe into that muscle? Could you relax into that muscle? Could you be in cooperation with what we're doing and be in that process Ash and I were just talking about of understanding that your body, there is a reason your body is holding tension. It's because it doesn't feel safe or it's overly stressed or a whole bunch of reasons, right? And to come into a massage therapist and just say, work it out really hard, and you're not willing to consciously be in that journey with the therapist, I personally don't think that's very fair. Like, don't make me do what you were unwilling to do, is how I feel about this scenario. So that's why in my work, I'm really doing a lot of training to help my clients understand, oh, I can help my body relax as we're doing the work together. Um, the other thing that I want to say is if one of the reasons I've discovered that some people struggle with allowing softer touch and to go slowly into that release is that that feels a little bit more intimate. And we have an issue around in our culture with being intimate if it's not sexual. And so that's one of the things Ash and I have talked a lot about too, is how do you create a space? How do you let your clients feel safe? And if there's a lot of communication that happens, but you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is stuff I'm gonna keep learning a
Mhm,
ton because I'm still just starting.
mhm,
But what I've found so far is like we were talking about just being very clear
mhm,
with every signal you're you're giving, like why you're doing a thing. When I'm if I'm massaging someone's leg, I want to I want to signal to them as clearly as possible where I'm going, what I'm gonna do, what like one of the main things I'm working with is how do you not scare someone? Because
mhm,
if your client starts to feel unsafe on the table, nothing is going to get done.
mhm,
No work is, or like at least in strictly massage, like
mhm,
nothing is going to happen specifically with relaxing muscles if they're afraid or
mhm,
if they're tense. So with like when I get a client who's new who hasn't been there before, I'm not really doing a lot. Like
mhm,
I'm specifically not working areas that I know are more sensitive for people. I'm more just getting them used to the process without pushing anything at all. And then
mhm,
as they come in, if they are and more comfortable, then we can do deeper work and better work. But what I'm working on right now is just how do I be clear and how do I make people safe?
mhm,
And because right now what I'm doing is a lot just about relaxing,
mhm.
um, I guess that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah.
Can I pause for a second?
Yep.
Can I run inside?
Yep. Okay, we're back. And we were just chatting. Well, you know where we were just at more than we do. Um, Chatting about the safety feeling and making sure clients feel safe on the table. The other thing I wanted to say quick too was because people largely don't live in their bodies, it's like head up. people aren't typically very good at holding their awareness on sensation. So it feels uncomfortable to feel certain sensations in your body. And one thing that body work or massage or craniosacral therapy will do for you, or yoga or qigong or anything that's like teaching you how to be with the sensations that you're experiencing in your own body or emotion, is to give you the tools to breathe through that, to feel through that, to be curious about what the sensations are. And so if body work is intriguing to you, you could start before you even find a therapist or a body worker, just start tuning into your own body. What sensations do you notice? What emotions are feeling like they're arising inside of you? And can you breathe while you're noticing that? Notice if you hold your breath when you're in a sensation that doesn't feel comfortable. Notice what stories you put on that sensation. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it shameful? Is it, all those different things. And when I was at the beginning of my healing journey with body work, I was shocked at how much I wasn't okay to let myself feel or notice or different emotions that I was like, oh, I do not want to feel that emotion, or I do not like that sensation, or I had a story around what that sensation meant that didn't feel right to me, or a whole bunch of things. And I just learned body work really helped me um, build a beautiful relationship to those emotions and sensations, and lets me now feel like I'm living inside my body and living my real life more fully. So, um, yeah, just because you're having a sensation in your pelvis doesn't mean it's sexual. But if you have never just hung out in your pelvis with your awareness and your curiosity and let yourself feel the sensations that arise and leave, then you might think that if you're having any sensation in your pelvis, you're either having to urinate, defecate, or having a sexual response, which is not true. It's just sensations arise and fall if you let yourself live inside of your whole body. Um, yeah, so that's thoughts about how it can impact you in really positive ways, allowing you to live more fully in your present moment, connected to what's happening in your real life, in your real body. Um, any thoughts about what you've experienced on the table in process, or how you've met yourself on the table?
Hmm. Um, I feel like it is for me. What I've been learning is mostly just the fact that it is a process.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're getting a massage that, or getting body work done that's trying to, I don't know if push is the right word, but trying to
Open.
open or change something, it's often an intense experience. And people, massage therapists always say like drink water after, because of the toxins released, or and like and but there's something interesting about like getting off the table and just like feeling like you're gonna throw up,
Mm-hmm.
or like feeling something really intense and you're like, what just happened? But it's like your body has been in process, it's been working through things. And like when I've gotten massages that focus more on stretching, that's because I do yoga, so I stretch. And when I'm in massage that is focusing more on stretching, it's just like the whole time it's just like I just need to breathe through this, and constantly breathe through this and allow your body to relax into what's happening. Um, and it's not always easy. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's I think the idea, like the association with massage and body work being about relaxing, like that's certainly part of it, but so much about it is about working through things and movement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this like stale thing. It's really a process, and that's why you can't just go in and have as hard of pressure as possible. It
Mm-hmm.
really needs to be a process with the body.
Mm-hmm. And it's collaborative with the therapist. If you have a really good therapist or somebody who's super in tune with what's happening in your muscles and your psyche and your energy, it's definitely collaborative. And I guess this is just a little plug for people who are just at the beginning of their body work journey. Um, and depending on what kind of therapist you're going to or looking for, if you're a sports person and you're getting a sports massage, that's for a different purpose. Um, but in the work that I do and in the work that Ash is talking about, it's the idea that you don't just go in there, probably, and say, fix me or make it better or change this. It really is your body dialoguing with therapist or the therapist dialoguing with your body. And the more surrendered we can be when we're on the table, or the more conscious we can be about, wow, what am I holding there? Why is my body choosing to store a lot of tension there? And then what Ash is talking about in terms of like getting off the table and feeling like, well, what just happened? If we've got really stuck spaces and the therapist has moved and softened and energy is now flowing through an area that has been stuck and stagnant, of course, you're going to feel like, whoa, something has shifted and something is different inside of me. And that could create a lot of different responses. So it's a journey. It's a journey with your body. And it's my favorite way, body work, yoga, qigong. Um, it's one of my favorite ways to get to know myself and to be have that reflected back through somebody holding me in the process with a lot of love and respect and um, groundedness. So, yeah, anything else you want to say?
Mhm.
Any questions for me?
Mm. Well, if you had to have one thing, there's one thing you've learned that you would tell yourself 15 years ago.
Don't be scared of what you find inside of your own body and sensations and emotions,
Yeah.
and meet it with your breath and with curiosity.
Mhm.
I was so scared of what was happening inside of my body, inside of my experience, and so scared of meeting certain emotions and sensations. And now I know, oh, they're just energies that are wanting to move, and you can move them with breath, movement, sound, intention, and touch. And it's really beautiful. How about you? What would you say to your younger self you wish you knew?
Um, hmm. Bodies are weird. Um, identity is weird,
Yeah.
and don't feel like your body and your identity is any weirder than anyone else's because they're just as bizarre as you.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Hmm.
It's been a journey in our house, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Honoring bodies, honoring gender, honoring sexuality, honoring our own journeys. We've done a good job together
Hmm.
in our house, exploring and experimenting with outside of the parameters that we were originally given. So I'm proud of you
Thank you.
and I love you.
Love you.
Thanks for doing this with me.
Hmm.
All right. Thanks for being here. Let's take 3 deep breaths together, close this time, and we will be back, or I will be back. I don't know if I'll ever get Ash to do it again, but I'll be back and I hope you will be too. 3 deep breaths. Deep breath in. Hmm. Next deep breath. Last deep breath. Mm. Enjoy your body and your sensations. Thanks for being here.